Okay, hello everyone. It's Donna Gray here from Stamping with DonnaG. Just wanted to bring you a video using our beautiful Hearts Come Home bundle from our new holiday catalogue. Now in the holiday catalogue you will find the Hearts Come Home bundle on page 39. It has some beautiful building edgelets, absolutely gorgeous set for doing so many different things. So awesome for shadow box cards, lots and lots of things. You have a beautiful stamp set as well, some lovely sayings: enjoy the warmth of the season, all hearts come home for Christmas, wishing you a beautiful season and a new year of peace and happiness, merry and bright. Gorgeous little Santa and reindeers, lovely little villages, stars, lots and lots of fun using this Hearts Come Home bundle. So what I thought I'd do today is do a card for you using this beautiful set. So what I'm using is, for our base, I'm using our basic black for our base. So I'm actually going to fold that in half. Now my base is cut at 5 3/4 inches by 8 inches. Okay, so that's for our base. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to cut a window out of, I'm using our beautiful cream coloured cardstock, very vanilla. So I'm actually going to cut with our ovals. I'm thinking it's about the second biggest oval. I'm not quite sure on that, but I'm actually going to cut out an oval, and then I'm also going to cut out a lovely border. So what I'll do is I'll bring in the big shot machine and we'll start. Okay. So hopefully you can see that. Now I'm using my magnetic platform. So I'm going to line up my very vanilla piece of cardstock. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to line up my oval quite close over to the left-hand side. So I'm using my magnetic platform, one cutting base, and then another cutting plate over the top. So I'm just going to run that through. So I'm going to do all the big shot work first, and then we'll do our stamping and assemble the card. Okay, now you will be able to use this oval for another project later on. We won't be using it in this card, but you will be able to use that oval in another project. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our gold foil card, and we're going to put on, this is our largest scalloped oval. And I'm also going to use the oval that we cut that aperture out of. And I'm going to place that on at the same time. And what we're going to get is a beautiful gold foil border to pop around on the front of our card. Okay, so I'm going to run that through. Just make sure that you're definitely not overlapping your two framelets. But as you will see, you will also have another gold oval that you can use on another project. So you'll have a gold oval that you can use on another project, plus, doesn't want to come off my cutting pad. Okay, now I'm right. And you'll get a beautiful gold border that we're going to use on the front of our card. So we're going to actually place that on like so. Okay. And we're also going to bring in another piece of our gold foil card, and we're going to cut out one of our buildings to go in behind where our oval is. So I'm going to place my gold foil card down, and I'm going to use the second largest building framelit. Okay, I'm going to cut that up towards the top, and always with your framelits, pop them towards the outside of your big shot because you've got better pressure on the outside of your big shot than in the middle. Pop another cutting pad on over the top and run that through. Okay, so we're going to take that off. We're going to get the big shot out of the way because that's all we're going to be using the big shot for. Okay, now if you haven't seen it, we have our die brush and our foam, which is fantastic for getting these very detailed framelits off our cardstock. And as you'll see, it pops straight out. Okay, so, and you get your little pieces that you can throw into your garbage bin, and you don't end up with little pieces all over the place. Okay, so far what we have done is folded our base, cut out our oval in our front layer. We've also cut out our frame to go around the front layer, and now we've cut out this beautiful village scene. So we're just going to trim the edges off that. Okay. Now we're not going to use all of this village scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay our layer over the top. We're going to work out what part we get to see best, which I think that is quite nice to be able to get that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim down this gold piece that's underneath. So I know that I'm going to go to where my tree is, so I'm going to trim straight up to where the tree is, like so. Okay. And I'm also going to trim the edge off this side here because we don't actually need all of that either. So I'm going to take it off to where the edgelet started. Okay. And line it up again. And that's pretty good. I'm just going to trim a little bit off that bottom because we don't actually need all of that as well. Okay. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do some stamping on our very vanilla piece of cardstock. So what I do when I don't want to do heat embossing and I want to cheat and I want it to actually look like I have used gold heat embossing, I find that my go-to colour is crumb cake. It can tend to look like gold writing. I know it sounds really strange to think of using crumb cake, but I find that it actually has the look of gold writing anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp out of our set All Hearts Come Home for Christmas. I'm actually going to stamp that just right here in the middle. So I'm going to open up my crumb cake ink pad. I'm going to pull all those layers aside and I'm going to ink up my sentiment, and I'm just going to stamp it right here off towards the side but in the middle. Okay, All Hearts Come Home for Christmas. And I'm also out of the set. There is some beautiful little tiny dots which are fantastic. Makes it look a lot like snow. So I'm actually going to, a bit like sparkles in the sky. So I'm actually just going to pop a few of them around. Oh. And I did just mess that up and made a bit of a halo there, but maybe No, it's not going to quite do that. I'll pop a little bit of bling over the top of that, I think. Actually, you know what? I can actually stamp the moon there just to cover up that splotch that I just made. Now you have to be very, very careful with these little tiny stamps because you can get the halos very, very easily. So I'm just going to, hopefully I'm going to cover that up by just popping a little moon in there, which, look at that. So there's always a way to cover up your mistakes, okay? So don't panic when you do something like that. I've just covered up that little splotch by stamping my little moon over the top. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in our beautiful gold edge ribbon, and I'm going to pop some ribbon on the bottom of this card. So what I do is I trim it that I've got about 3/4 of an inch both ends overlapping. Then I'm going to use my snail adhesive, and on the back of the card where you're going to glue it, what I'm going to do is run a little bit of snail just there, and another little bit of snail on this end. Okay, now the trick to this is stick one end down where you want it, like so, turn it over, get it nice and straight, exactly where you want it, and flip over the other side. Okay, and there you have a piece of ribbon ready to go on the front. So now what we're going to do is we're going to line up our levels and line up exactly where we want our building to be. And there's a couple of little pieces there that I haven't poked out. Okay, so we're going to line up exactly where we're going to have our buildings with the trees. So I have cut my layer that I've got a beautiful, nice little border all the way around the edge so we can see the black coming through. So that is, as you can see, where I want to have my buildings. So I'm just going to hold my finger on there, take this layer away, and with my snail, once again, I'm just going to lift the bottom of this up, run some snail underneath there where I want that to stick, and stick it down. Okay, now to make my buildings not pop up like that, I'm actually going to just stick a few glue dots just behind the buildings. So I'm just going to pop one glue dot in behind this building here, one behind this one, just here, and you can hide them in behind the buildings, but you can see that it just makes the building and the Christmas tree and everything just sit down nice and flush onto our card. I may even just pop another one behind that one there, just on that top section. Okay, all right, so now is the time to put our next layer on, and I'm actually going to pop that up with dimensionals. So I'm going to pop some dimensionals on the back. Now, I use all of my dimensionals, so please, please don't throw these edge bits away because they are fantastic for using to pop things up, and there's so much still left on your dimensionals around the edges. Okay, so there. I use every single scrap that I have of my dimensionals. And I'm just going to pop just a few here, just to keep that nice and solid. So just take all the backings off them. This is an absolutely lovely Christmas set. This and also the Night of Bethlehem set is a gorgeous set as well. Fantastic for doing shadow box cards. I actually have an online card class available at the moment using the Hearts Come Home bundle, and in that class I actually teach you how to make a shadow box card. So if you've never ever made shadow box cards, in my Hearts Come Home, if you were interested in this bundle, any items that I use in this video tutorial you can purchase from my online store, and I will have all the links below this video in the show more information, so you will be able to find all the links. And if you just click directly on the links, it will take you straight to my store and straight to the product. Or okay, so I've just popped that up and it gives it beautiful dimension. Okay, now what we're going to do is on the back of our lovely foil border that we had, we're going to grab some of our Tombow and just pop little bits of Tombow around. I'll get another one. That one doesn't want to work. Hopefully this one will. Yes. Okay, so you only need tiny little bits of Tombow. Please, please don't overdo the Tombow, because it sticks very, very well. It gives you the wiggle room, so it allows you to be able to line things up and get them exactly where you want them, which is what we need to do with this. And as you can see, because they've been cut with the same framelit, very, very easy to apply. Okay. And I'm just going to, with my gold edge ribbon, I'm just going to tie a little bow just to pop down on that bottom corner. Now, if you haven't tied bows before, I don't ever take my ribbon off my roll. I use the ribbon still on the roll. So what I do is I create a loop, then I go around my fingers and I twist over the ribbon so we're not all twisted up. So I go around my fingers and then I make a loop and I just push that through that front loop that went around my fingers. So then what I do is I pull it and then we rearrange it. You pull your ribbon till you can get it into a nice shaped bow. So take your time with your bows to tie your bows. When you feel like you're getting it nearly exactly where you want it to be, then what you do, you grab the two bottom tails and the two loops and pull tight like that. That way then it makes your tails hang down. Okay, really quick, easy way of tying a bow. I know with a lot of my customers, they all ask me, how do you tie bows so easily? And honestly, and I always trim my edges. So what I do is, that's the front of my bow. I fold the ribbon in half and I cut back towards the knot of the bow at an angle. Same thing this side, fold it in half, cut back towards the bow, and there you have a beautiful bow, quite easily tied. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop that with a glue dot onto my card. I'm just going to stick a glue dot on the back. And I'm just going to pop it just up above my ribbon. Oh, I didn't get the glue dot. It didn't stick. Try again. Okay, that time it did. Okay, just above my ribbon, like so. And then I always stick a glue dot underneath this ribbon just to hold it so it sits nice and flush onto your card. So that's the front of our card. Now I'm actually going to take out our other piece of very vanilla cardstock, and out of our stamp set I'm actually going to stamp some of our little villages. I'm going to stamp along the bottom, so I'm going to make a little arrangement all along the bottom. I'll pop a tree in as well. Okay, so I'm going to use my long block for this. Now this is block L, I think it's L, could be L, could be I. Big long block anyway. So I'm going to turn these all over. I want them to line up. Now, one thing when you're going to do something like this, always line them up, and then when you think you've got them where you want them, pop your acrylic block down onto your stamps, and always take a scrap piece of paper and stamp on the back of a scrap bit of paper. Okay, so with a scrap piece of paper, bring in a scrap piece of paper, ink up your stamps, and just see how they look in the arrangement to make sure that you have them all exactly where you want them. That was a bit of a blooper. Okay. So I'm just going to stamp that down and just see exactly how that arrangement looks. Christmas tree's a little bit crooked, so I'm just going to straighten him up. But other than that, looks quite good. So I'm going to try that again. Now that I've straightened the tree up. Yes, much better. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my lovely very vanilla piece of cardstock. I'm going to ink that up with my ink pad that I've made fall apart. As you can tell, I do not edit my videos, so what you get is what you see. Okay, so I'm just going to line that up on the bottom of my cardstock, just with a little gap. Stamp it down. Okay, and now I'm going to take the sentiment that says, wishing you a beautiful season and a new year of peace and happiness. So I'm going to take that sentiment, going to ink that up, making sure I've got it the right way up, in the middle. Okay. And then with my Tombow, I'm going to pop some Tombow on the back and layer that up on the inside of my card. And I think I've got the empty one again. Try this one. That's better. Okay. Tombow gives you that wiggle room, so it's an awesome glue to use when you want to line up your layers. So open up the inside, you will have a beautiful 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. And there you have our beautiful Hearts Come Home Christmas card. Isn't that just gorgeous? The gold and the black is just beautiful. So that was using our wonderful Hearts Come Home stamp set and our beautiful edgelets, which come in a bundle. They can be purchased, as I said, from my store. I do have an online card class, so if you were interested in making more projects and you wanted to purchase the bundle, my online card class, you actually can purchase the bundle plus a few ink pads, 3 ink pads, and I will send you out a card kit to make 6 cards with your bundle absolutely free of charge, and I will also send you a private VIP video tutorial. If you wanted to know more about that, please jump over onto my website. My website is www.stampingwithdonnag.com, and click on the online card class tab, and it's all there available with all the links to order, to register and order. So thank you all for watching, and until next time, happy crafting.